Okay, we're live streaming.
Good morning. Happy Magic Monday. Guess who's
Good
back?
morning. Sorry.
Us. What were you
We're
saying?
live streaming.
Guess who's
Good
back?
morning. I gotta close
Us.
this down.
Yes, please. Shut us up.
Shut us up. How's good, Megan?
I know.
Look, I got a few more things for my wall.
Oh, very nice. I think I told you to put that crow up.
I did, but I still sit in front of it.
I know. I think I said to put on the other side of your head.
Yeah, but yeah, you'll be here this weekend. You'll be able to see how the wall is, and we just can't
Put it right.
decorate around my head that's not always there.
See, I try to decorate around my head. See,
Yeah.
that way, then.
Oh, look at that. Nice.
I have different backgrounds.
That's awesome. Welcome everybody. Happy Magic Monday.
Yeah, happy Magic Monday. We're here to talk about some fun stuff.
I know. Like always, right?
Yeah.
I love that we're always getting downloads.
It's always something new. We don't ever have to worry about what the heck are we going to talk about next week, because
Source provides.
Evolving, so it always comes through.
Yeah, definitely. Source is always providing. I love that.
Yeah. And today we are talking about, well, I mean, it's one thing really, but I'm like, which direction do I want to enter it at? Is comparison being the thief of our joy, and even more so the thief of our soul purpose. And I see this in my own life. That's why it's coming up today. I see this in the groups that we teach, that our students, ourselves, we get so preoccupied with what someone else is doing and how well it's going for them, that we compare ourselves. Well, gosh, if I was really where I was meant to be, I'd have or be or do what she or he is having and being and doing right now. And when we are so focused on someone else's path and purpose, we are distracted from our own. And that's what comparison does, is it distracts us from our very own unique adventure, our very own unique path, our very own unique purpose, and thinking that theirs is somehow better, or even their way of realizing their path and purpose is somehow better, and that their way is the answer for you.
Absolutely. It's so good. So good, because it completely takes you away from your own path and purpose, because you're being distracted, and it lowers your vibration. It's funny. So it totally lowers your vibration. And I was just thinking, I wrote an email this morning to go out and talking about the vibration and things that you can do to lower your vibration. Not that you're looking to lower, but I'm saying vibration extraordinary is a vibration. And if we're doing other things, and comparison is one thing that I didn't put on there, but it's a low vibe. It brings you, when you look at somebody else and go, oh, they're better than me. How does that feel? It just drops.
Or seeing what they have, which means what they have is something you don't have, instead of really focusing on what you do have, right? And the download that came through for me was like, you're spending so much time comparing your path and purpose that you're diminishing the magic of your own. Like, you're missing out on so much that is magical, joyful, free, purposeful, miraculous, wealthy, because you're focusing on them and saying, well, I must not have joy, freedom, wealth because it doesn't look like theirs. Right? That somehow one could be better than the other. But your personal expression and the way in which you go about spiritual evolution is the miracle, is magic.
Yeah, so key. And everyone's spiritual evolution, their own, it provides for them. Their purpose Your purpose will provide for you. So that has been such a lie within the matrix, that you have to choose something that is practical.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is another thing, that by being distracted by someone else's path and purpose is taking it, it sucks from yours, because their path and purpose cannot provide for you the way in which your path and purpose can, right? When you are in alignment with your path, your soul, and the way that you connect with source, that's where we are innately, ultimately, always provided for. And so when you feel like, oh gosh, you know what, I don't feel supported, I don't feel I have all that I want, all that I need, it's a good indication that you are working with someone else's purpose and path and process instead of your own. It's your own that is going to provide it all for you.
Yes, it doesn't matter if it would not even work for other people.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't
Yes.
have to work for anybody else. It works for you. And I'm like getting just examples in my head right now. You know, I'm not going to share names, but there's an example of someone who's followed someone else's path and purpose so closely, and they have slipped off of their own path. And we can see it so easily in other people's, like, oh, I don't resonate with that person anymore. I don't resonate with that person anymore, which is okay. It's a part of our growth. But just owning, like, this is what works for me, and having the faith. I love something we talked about today when we were talking about this is, and there's even a book called this, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. There's a whole book on this, going, okay, what got you to this moment, that this level of success was great, but it's not going to work to the next level of success. And you had the experience of that at a spiritual level. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. And I think what you're talking about here is when people can get derailed from their own path and purpose is, so for someone that we work with right now, her path and purpose is actually to be in pure receival mode, to sit and receive and to be with self. Where another woman in the exact same program that we're working with is actually about going out and building and business and money. Now, the fundamentals of how we manifest or receive are the same, but the path is different. And that's why it's so important that we are staying attuned and in alignment with our path, and not getting caught up and distracted with maybe an ego desire because it looks good for them, so that should be good for me. Is the first piece. And then when you're talking about this, what got you here won't get you there, at a spiritual level, for me, one of the practices that I use to support my clients and have historically used myself is called the worst case scenario. And it is to get really comfortable with the worst case scenario, that the worst case scenario is doable, that the worst case scenario, there is still light and the possibility of joy and your needs being met, even in the worst case scenario. And practicing that particular energetic, I want to call it like manipulation, that particular transmutation of energy from I'm so afraid I can't move forward to I can become at peace with the worst case scenario, which allows me to move forward, because even if the worst case scenario were to happen, I am already at peace with it, has gotten me exactly where I am today. It is such an important tool that I've used, and I highly recommend it for anyone that is emerging from the shadows, anyone that is emerging from a dark night of the soul, anyone that is working out of survival mode or really living in the matrix. And then the download that came to me today is that tool will not get me to the higher levels. It does not get me to divinity. It gets me out of survival, but not into divinity. And so it's a tool in which we use in this area. And now I get to develop the new tool, which is there is no worst case scenario. And the only reason I can actually say there is no worst case scenario is because I was okay with the worst case scenario at one point, and now I'm like, oh wait, there was no worst case scenario, right? And so if you're in survival mechanism or the shadows, you're still going to resonate with, no, there really is a worst case scenario. It looks like this and this and this, and thus begins the argumentation of your limits, right? Arguing for your limits. And that's why the worst case scenario technique and tool supports that level of vibration, because you really believe it. And now I'm at this point, I'm like, well, gosh, what is the next tool? And it's that there is no worst case scenario. And that is absolutely my next level, right? And anybody who is now out of the shadows or the trauma work and is ready to embrace the divinity and the ascension, the acceleration of vibration, going toward divinity, it is not going to be working with the lower densities. That doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. That doesn't mean my humanness never comes up. It means when it does, I can take care of it immediately. I don't care to argue limitations. I don't care to see a worst case scenario. I'm just willing to work through it and then go back into activation.
Yeah, so powerful. So powerful that, yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to add to that, Megan. Megan does, but I was thinking about, I was like, okay, it's like a 2-layered process that we can now see, right? And how we were divinely guided. You and I were talking, I'm like, yeah, I got a download last night. I was like, okay, how do I explain what I do with people? Because I help people extract themselves from the matrix, right? And that's what you're talking about, is that worst case scenario, the tapping, healing old wounds, releasing traumas. That's the denseness that must be taken care of to come out of the matrix. And then to align and remember your divinity is a whole another level. And I was actually guided 2 weeks ago to start writing a book of activations, which is the next level of that, of really remembering your divinity.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so this is where some people might consider it a plateau, because you're like, wow, I've done all of this shadow work, this trauma work, this clearing work, and now it looks bright and clean up here. But now what's next? And it is the up level into divinity. The other pieces are so important first, though. To skip those would be spiritual bypass. One, you wouldn't actually get the true effects of being in alignment with divinity. And two, it would feel like a constant struggle, right? Like sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. So these pieces are really important, yet this is what was coming through for today. So what this is showing us and telling us is that there is a lot of people that have just come out of survival mechanism, trauma work, the depths, the density that has been, and they're ready for that activation. And I see what our next offer, what our next container looks like. And it is the activation into divinity for those who have made their way through the denser energies.
Yes, so powerful. There's so much here. We thought this whole process would be about escaping the matrix, and then just as we're like really living outside of circumstance, outside of the stories, the next level is revealed.
Yes. And the other thing, I'm not going to go totally into it right now, but the other thing that we were talking about this morning is our individual big soul purpose, right? Now we have lots of soul purposes each and every life, right? So many things that we get to realize and manifest and experience all throughout our life. But we also have one main theme of our entire existence in this lifetime. And that is where the activation is into. Right now, what's interesting is this one main theme to really integrate and embody and become is connected to all of that shadow work, trauma work, and density that we've worked through. Right. So that's what's really interesting, is to now ascend into that one theme, fully embody it, required that lower density work, right? So that's another reason why we can't just skip to, okay, the activation into my divinity. We can't just skip that because there's no way you can fully embody something that has played out in a, for lack of a better term, like harmful pattern that has created, opportunity after opportunity to come to neutrality with it. And now it's time to activate the truth of it. Right. So that's why it's important to have done that, because that shadow work, that recurring pattern that comes up over and over and over, is actually the big theme.
Yes, that is huge, huge. So good. So
And
good.
it's like, it's that big theme that reoccurs in every small soul purpose, right? Like we have multiple soul purpose projects throughout our life, whether it's in, it's in all areas, right? Like motherhood, parenthood, being a daughter, being a partner, in relationship, with money, with work, with business, with our sovereignty, spirituality. And you'll see that the pattern actually comes up, it surfaces in all of those areas, that one pattern that is the big theme in all of those different soul purposes, right? So I have a soul purpose in motherhood. I also have a soul purpose in business. I have a soul purpose in spirituality, but the overall arching theme resurfaces in there, in all of them.
Yeah. Wow. So incredibly powerful. Yeah. And so much fun that you shared with us ours. It was like,
I know, I'm like, okay, I know what my theme is, and I know what yours and Todd's soul purpose theme is for your whole life. And this is where we go. Like I said earlier, everyone has a unique soul theme, but the fundamentals are the same. It is to align with your soul purpose. It is to allow source to work through you, right? The fundamentals are the same, the paths are different.
yes, is so good. So, so, so good. And so, to stay connected with Megan and I, one of the best ways to do that is through the Trinity membership. We are bringing our wisdom and downloads into the Trinity membership and serving at a very high level, at a group level. And you can jump in for just $88 a month. I know that, we had an amazing tapping session last week, so many breakthroughs. We never know what's going to come up. You show up and we read into the energy and you get what serves you at the highest level. So we would love for you to come into the Trinity membership and glean all the benefits, high vibe benefits right there. And I think that's it. Megan, amazing. Thank you.
Yay. So happy to see you all. We'll be back next Magic Monday, but hopefully we see you sooner in the Trinity membership.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye for now.
I'm stuck.
We're still live.
We're still alive. Stop.